Excellent.
Okay.
Hey there, Kelly Pilato here at the Grit, Guts, and Courage Show. And this is the show where we talk to people who have been through a situation that required grit, guts, and courage and how they got through it. So today my guest is Mary Black. And I know she's got this incredible story that she'd love to share with the audience. So Mary, welcome.
Thank you very much, Kelly, for this great opportunity.
You are very welcome. Thank you. So we're just going to jump right in.
Okay.
Share your story.
Well, we met because I was finally going to write a book about my personal journey as a child of alcoholic parents and the emotional, physical, sexual abuse that was endured. I was the oldest of 5, and there was a lot that fell on my shoulders. And my book is going to be entitled, Why Did I Survive? Surviving Childhood Trauma and Thriving. Because that has been a question that I have asked myself my whole life. I realized that with a lot of soul searching and inner reflection, I realized how all these experiences actually shaped my life and those around me. And the being forced into certain situations and circumstances really did make me the person that I am today. And trying to understand how I got healthy and the realization that it took a lot of people along the way to help me. I learned how to identify why I reacted to certain events that resulted in like anger, fear, lack of trust, a dislike of uncertainty, control issues, and grief. It also produced the ability to survive and actually thrive throughout my life. At a young age, I noticed that my family wasn't like the others. And at first I thought they were weird, but it was actually my family that was different. And I did have to grow up pretty fast, as a lot of responsibilities were on my shoulders. When I was in 3rd grade, I was 8, my grandfather had died, and my baby brother, who was a month old, got meningitis and was in a coma, and my mom had a nervous breakdown. And that's when all of the responsibilities and chores of the home was on me. And I didn't realize at the time all the anxiety and stress and fearfulness and hopefulness that I was experiencing was because of those chores I had to do. I just knew I had to keep going and pushing forward no matter what, because my siblings were counting on me. I don't remember what directed me to reach out to my middle school counselors for help, but there I was, and I learned transactional analysis and coping skills with them. And unfortunately, they had notified my parents that I had reached out, which of course led to meetings, but they continued to help me anyhow, which I'm so grateful for. I loved being at school and I excelled at it. In the 60s, I was in AP classes through middle school and high school. I could have graduated years earlier, but I had no place to go. I participated in the school basketball, baseball, swim team, advanced chorus. I was part of an elite women's singing group and on the debate team. And I worked a 24-hour-a-week job since I was 15 and a half. I was definitely a AAA kind of person. I don't know if I did that just to keep me busy, but that's kind of what happened. There were many other incidents during my childhood that were terrifying and bizarre that I won't get into today, but just know that it was a roller coaster. Beatings took the form of a cat of 9 tails belt. My mom used to use a plastic race car driving track to whip with, which of course I had welts and scars that are still a reminder today. The verbal attacks were unrelenting, the name calling, constantly letting me know I was worthless and that I wasn't going to amount to anything. As a child, I was hospitalized over 13 times due to neglect. And at 15, I actually ended up in convulsions with 106 fever from mono and something else. And I actually died and they coded me back. And it was my sister that actually got help from our neighbor to take me to the hospital because my mom was too drunk to react. I never learned to cry, but all I wanted to do was to scream into a pillow when things got out of control. And at age 15 in 1969, while my mother was beating me, out of nowhere, I grabbed her arm and told her that I would deck her if she hit me again.
Charlie or Mary Black.
And I never forgot the look of fear and shock in her eyes. Right then and there, I walked out of the house to the police station and asked the chief of police for help. I don't know what made me do it, but I think I just had enough. Miraculously, he did get me to social services. And back in 69, it was unheard of that a child would take their parents to court. I don't even think there was a juvenile court back then. The judge didn't know what to do. They did assign an attorney to me, and the whole process took over 3 months. And throughout it, I just cried. My parents, of course, were angry and embarrassed and were more concerned about what other people were going to think than for why they were there. And throughout it, I just cried. I had teachers, clergy, and counselors that testified for me. The judge never had a child petition the court to be removed from them, and he didn't know what to do. So he ordered a psychological evaluation, hoping to make that decision easier for him. And of course, it was their recommendation that I be removed from the home for my physical and emotional well-being. And they also wanted me to get individual and group therapy so that I wouldn't feel guilty. And I didn't understand what that meant until I was older, because to do that, that alone gives you a lot of feelings. So the judge did decide to follow the psychological evaluation, and I was placed into foster care. I did receive the individual and group counseling, and my parents were ordered as well, but they didn't comply. Foster care was a safe place for me, but it was also a very lonely place. I felt like I really didn't fit in, and wondered where was the chaos. I also couldn't see my siblings, so that was very hard. I turned 18 in December of my senior year, and foster care ended then. My school counselor rented out his basement to me until I graduated and went into the Army. I thought the Army would be a good way for me to decide if medicine was the field that I wanted to pursue as a career. So I was trained as a medic and an eyes, ears, nose, and throat specialist. I did graduate at the top of the class at the Academy of Health Sciences and was assigned to the Pentagon Health Clinic. After the Army, I used my GI Bill to get my registered nursing degree, and nursing was very fulfilling for me, and I enjoyed the challenge in helping others, of course. Years following, my second sister died of bulimia and drug abuse at the age of 32. Sister number one, who was about a year and a half younger than me, became delusional, manic, bipolar, and committed suicide at the direction of my mother at the age of 49. My sister number three, the baby of the family, died at 42 from alcohol and drug abuse. And my only brother to this day suffers from deep depression, low self-esteem, and suicidal ideation. I was so angry, wanting to know why did I make it and they didn't or couldn't. And I always sought out therapy and help throughout my life when certain things would trigger symptoms of anxiety or physical symptoms of like diarrhea or nausea or headache. I remember having a panic attack during a lecture in nursing school when they were discussing child abuse. And I couldn't understand what was happening to me until I realized it was a trigger. When I graduated from college, I had been told throughout my life that I wasn't going to amount to anything. And that triggered a reaction from me because I had a piece of paper saying that I did make something out of my life. When my son was born, many, many events triggered symptoms as I was determined to break the cycle. I learned how to identify those reactions and those triggers. And I listened to my body and sought help when needed. It took a while to learn how to do that, but I did. I started my own business and reached to the top of that profession within a year while I was working full-time as a registered nurse and administrator, had 2 part-time jobs, taught scuba diving during summer months, and I was commuting 3 hours a day. Again, that AAA personality. Any obstacle or challenge I had, I just never gave up. I would find a way over it, under it, around it, through it, legally, of course, until I succeeded. And even with all that success, I always was bothered on why did I survive? I still had anger, wanting to know why. Why couldn't everyone overcome and make something of their lives instead of giving up and turning to alcohol and drugs and unhappiness? By writing this book, I've learned even more about myself, and I realized that I had the ability to see things from the outside looking in, and I was always curious. I believed that the participating in all the school activities developed self-confidence without needing approval or support from anyone. I never had anyone in the audience encouraging me or even just watching me. Even at graduation, I did it for me. I'm still writing this book and hopefully to finish soon. And I am grateful for healing and answering some of my why questions. And I hope that I can help others with their journey. Many times I wonder, what would my life be like today if I had great parents who would have encouraged and loved me? Would I've gone to MIT and developed a cure for cancer or some other incredible medical breakthrough? What would my life had looked like? But I also realized, yeah, my life would be different, but would I be where I am today, happy and content? Would I be traveling around the world, experiencing new wonders? What if I never developed that drive to never give up? So I know those trials and tribulations that I went through actually shaped and directed my life. And I'm okay with that because I like the outcome. There were turning points in my life that really made a big difference. And the counselors in school and church, of course. And as a young adult, I had read this book. It's called Children of Alcoholics, a Survivor's Manual, which was a real eye-opener to me. It described in detail each one of my siblings and my parents, so much so that it gave me goosebumps all over my body. And there was another book, I can't remember the title of it, but the one phrase out of that book that really has helped me throughout my life said, the only person that can make you upset is you. And that was pretty profound. And I realized the value of books and how it helped me. And I'm hoping that other people will be able to identify similar situations and help them navigate their lives to a healing place and to seek out safety and happiness and to overcome and excel. So, you know, that's part of my journey. And so
I love it. It's the first question that comes to my mind is, how did you get through it? Like, you know, like sometimes like I look at my life and I think, oh my gosh, I had to go through all this stuff. And then I hear your life and I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, how did you get through all that?
I just don't know. I had this inner drive or this inner strength that just made me keep pushing on. I think the curiosity that I always had about things really made a big difference. And I just never gave up. You know, I wanted to be happy.
I love it. And that's what I say too. People say, how did you get through it? And I'm just like, well, what choice did I have? You know, because of me being a burn survivor, people would say to me, I can't believe you go out in public with the scars on your body. And I'm thinking, well, what am I supposed to do? Stay at home and do nothing? So, so that was, some of the things that people would say to me is, how do you go out in public looking like that? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know any other thing to do other than to just persevere through life. I mean, we all deserve life. We all deserve, to go through life. And so why wouldn't I go out in public with, the scars on my body?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So my other question is, what would you tell somebody who comes to you and they say, Mary, I don't know. I don't know what to do about my life. And they're going through something similar to you. What would you tell them to do?
I would say learn to slow down and enjoy the things around you. Look at the birds, look at the buds on the trees, look at the clouds formations, just look at the wonder that's around you, and that it's okay to be selfish sometimes. That was hard for me to learn, but I'm starting to like it. Self-help or self-care is very important too. You can't be everything to everybody all the time.
Well,
So
and you're a nurse, so you know what
yeah,
that's like too.
yeah,
You're very, you know how to take care of people.
yeah. And try to remove the toxic environment or the toxic people in your life and learn when to walk away. It's okay to not talk to them for the rest of their lives, or it's okay. Why, if you put your hand in a fire and it burns you, why would you keep sticking your hand in the fire? It makes no sense. So just learn to remove yourself from those toxic situations and let go of things you can't control. There are some things you can control and there's some things you can't. And remember that the only person who can make yourself upset is you. So you have that control and you have that choice. And I choose happiness and loving life to its fullness, and helping others provides energy and joy to me. And I think by helping others, you heal yourself.
That's awesome. Okay. So what do you do? How can people work with you or get in touch with you? I know you're working on your book, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. Can't wait to see that come out.
Me too.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Right now I'm a full-time caregiver, to my husband, and with a lot of challenges there, and I'm really trying to do the self-care stuff too. I get massages twice a month, so that keeps me from being arrested for attempted homicide. But it's been I haven't been able to spend as much time as I would like. I have partnered up with a friend who's writing a book on poems and things like that we try to meet once a month to keep us on track, a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been doing for that. I don't have a website for my book yet. They can reach out on email, which is blackandco@aol.com. And I can help them where I can, so that's about it.
Okay, so final question is, what's your superpower?
I think it's curiosity and wanting to save other people where I couldn't save my siblings, although I tried. I couldn't save them, so I tend to want to save people around me that are less fortunate.
Right.
And that's
You're a
Love-
caregiver. You love to take care of
Yeah.
people. You can see
Yeah.
that in you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Mary. It's been so great chatting with you and sharing your story. And so thank you. I
Thank
love
you very much.
that. So great. And so you guys, that is a wrap for the Grit, Guts, and Courage show. Thank you again, Mary, and thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.